great. Well, you got the moves, Jeff. That's great. Well, may I say good morning to you this morning. A warm welcome to the Oakhall Cafe. Now, as we settle into our large cafe this morning, there's some seats over here, some tables over here. We're going to begin in about 5 minutes' time. So plenty of time, about 5 minutes' time. If you would like a cup of tea or coffee, and then just give a little wave. We've got an amazing team waiting to serve you. So give a little wave. There's a wave over here. And we'll sit down and enjoy, and we'll start in about 5 minutes' time. Thank you. Well, again, a good morning to you. We're going to begin in about a minute's time, so last call for coffees and teas. They're still being served. There's some seats over here. Just come in, feel welcome, feel at home, and we'll begin in about a minute's time. Thank you. Well, welcome again. This is it. This is the real beginning. So just to say, Blast Kids 1, Blast Kids 2, Sparklers, you're all out. They're all out having adventures already. So if you're part of that gang, now's your moment. You can slip away. Those of us who would want to be using the creche, we can use that room just here. We call it the Cedar Room. And so if you want to head to the creche, it's just over here. So we're all kind of around the building this morning. Usually, if you came to Oakhall Church on a Sunday morning, there'd be rows of seats, and there would be music that we'd be singing together. Later on, one of us would explain something from the Bible. There'd still be good tea and coffee. That's a normal Sunday morning here. But occasionally, through the year, we have a special event. We call it the Oakhall Cafe. Oakhall Cafe events, and that's where you are today, at the Oakhall Cafe. We've extended the cafe from out here, Cafe 101, rolled it into here, and here we all are this morning for conversation, coffee, big things to think about and to talk about. So a big welcome. Now let me ask you, how many of you came to the New Life exhibition this week? Any of you come? Oh, heaps of us. Fantastic. Well, let me introduce you to the curators of the creators. There's a team of people who have been working for a year to put this whole event together. I won't ask them to stand up. I won't ask them to stand on the table or anything like that. But their names are, you're going to meet a couple of them in a moment, Kate Norman and Josie Evans, and Rebecca, Claire Brazier, Abby Dominguez, Faye Mayo. It's been an amazing team just putting this together. And I was thinking to myself, if we lined up the number of hours that have been invested to create each creation, then all the hours of planning and communication, I think there's been years of work that has gone into this series of events that have unfolded through the week. So thank you so much for coming. It's been called Reflect, and it's been an opportunity to look at artists who are reflecting on different things, but an opportunity too for us to reflect on big themes. So let me just invite now Kate and Rebecca, two of the team, to come and join me on the stage. We give them a big round of applause, shall we? Come round here. That's it. Great. Oh, welcome. Fantastic. Well, let me just show you a few scenes in a moment from the week that we've shared. And as we do, we're going to ask Kate a couple of questions. So here's a bit of a movie for you of what's been going on over these last few days. So Kate, what is the idea behind these New Life events?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, fabulous. So we're so proud of this space here. It's such a wonderful space, and it was really an opportunity for us to connect with local people. And we're part of Caterham, we're part of our surrounding areas, and there are lots of ways in which we connect, and the cafe's been a brilliant way, and since that's been open, that we've been able to connect with people in the community and have them come into the building and enjoy this space and enjoy really good coffee and really good cakes, with a bunch of people who are brilliant in just serving and being very kind and welcoming. And and this was just as an extra opportunity to invite people even further into the building and to meet even more of us and to connect with us in a different way, in a perhaps a way which makes us pause a little bit and not necessarily race on to the next thing. So that was really an opportunity for us to kind of be part of our local community.
Oh, that's brilliant, Kate. The reason there was a bit of a laugh is because there was a security situation. Did you notice one of the celebrities cut the camera feed as we were going around? Josie was the filmer, but an important person just stopped us from filming. But tell us, what is it that the process behind putting something like this on?
Well, it's like you've said, Andy, already, it's a huge team effort, and we've had a little group of us together who have been working hard throughout the last year, and particularly since January. About January time, we start thinking, what's our theme going to be? And really, you've heard our names. If you have any ideas, we've got idea boards just going crazy with ideas for what next year's theme might be. But thinking about a theme is quite important, and something that we can really artists can connect with, and different people might have different ideas for, and gets people's creative juices flowing. So early on in the year, we might come up with an idea, and then we start connecting with as many people as we can think of, and that's quite tricky to think about. So we've got local art groups, local mental health art groups, just people that, friends of friends really, and just saying, if you're creative, we'd just love you to be submitting something and be involved. And it's just incredible the number of people that respond in a really positive way. I have to say, the process isn't easy for our artists. We require a form to be filled in, which can be, a lot of people have found quite challenging, but it is really important. It does help us to really get an idea about what's behind their artwork. And you'll have seen, if you've been here this week, there have been descriptions by every work of art, and that's really been core. That's really helped the artwork for me and for many people to come alive, to unearth the meaning behind it. So those descriptions, although they're quite painful to have to create, have been really valuable in people really connecting with the artwork. And then, of course, the closer we get to the event, there's so many people that have just supported and helped us. The AV has been incredible, setting up, setting down, and it's genuinely a huge team effort. And then our creatives, our artists, have just been fantastic in just putting in, like you say, hours and hours and hours of time contemplating how they might want to reflect to this theme, thinking about what sort of composition they might use, what colours they might use, and just creating really beautiful professional works of art.
Brilliant, Kate. Well, we're so grateful that you and the team have put this on for us. Thanks. If we could get back to this, thank you so much. Just there. Cheers. Well done. Great. There's a brilliant quote from Henri Matisse, and he says, and I think we've seen it through this month, creativity takes courage. And there's been a lot of courage over these last weeks, months, through the year. Something that's really been striking me is that every creator, every creation has a creator. And we had an event on Friday night called Meet the Artist. And it was great together to meet a number of the creators of these amazing creations and hear some of the captivating stories behind their work. And it's really interesting to see how much the world around, the environment around us, has influenced and inspired many of our creators. So here come some images from the exhibition. And these images are just images of reflections of the environment around us, the surroundings around us here. And maybe you recognize some of these pieces from the exhibition. You might even recognize some of the places that have inspired these paintings. just beautiful pieces of nature and the environment around us. Esme, if you want to talk to her, she painted this down on the south coast. If you drive over to Merstham, some of us head down to Merstham after this, you'll drive through this environment. This is Alderstead Heath, a massive piece of work over 2 boards. And I think you recognize it? Isn't it beautiful how that environment, that creation of that beautiful landscape has inspired this creation and other pieces inspired from further afield. So what we're seeing here is just how much nature has inspired some of our artists. Now, I saw Lynn a little bit earlier on. It wasn't just painting. There was sculpture, as you can see, but there was also photography. And here's Lynn with this beautiful photograph. Josie, a professional photographer, she was mentioning just how beautiful these tones are. And something precious about this, her sister-in-law and her niece out on a boat on the Norfolk Broads. The reflection of the sunshine, but the reflection too on precious memories. Another photographer, she's sitting right here with us now, is Rebecca. Rebecca, take this microphone. And this image has got a bit of a story behind it. We're going to ask you about some other pieces of your work later, but tell us about this. What's the story behind this beautiful photograph?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is taken in Linton, Lymouth. I went on a hiking holiday there a couple of years ago in 2023, and this was on one of the walking routes. So you go up along all this hillside and cliff face. It's really, really beautiful. And once you get to the top, this is one of the views you get. And it's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the picture doesn't even really do it justice, but you can see all the beautiful, like the ocean, and that's actually, it's after the art show, it has even a deeper meaning. So my friend Helen brought one of her missionary friends, Chris, to the art show, and he asked me if I knew what I'd actually taken a photograph of, and I had no idea, but that's actually a place called Lee Abbey, which, it does a lot of Christian retreats, so it has an even deeper meaning now, but at the time, that was the first time. I wasn't a Christian when I took this photo. I hadn't found my faith, so it was one of the moments where I just looked at sort of creation and really realized that it was actually created, that it wasn't an accident, and that there was something behind this. So it's really special to me for that reason, because it was, sometimes views like this are part of the reason why I came to faith and how I realized there is a God. So.
That's really amazing, Rebecca. Thank you so much. Wow. Well, we're going to hear more from Rebecca a little bit later on. But it is quite moving, isn't it, to realize that behind every creation, there's a creator. And then to see these creators inspired by the environment around us. There's a writer called Beecher, and he wrote this: "Every artist dips his brush in his own soul and paints his own nature into his pictures." Esme's smiling. I think she knows what that's about. There's other artists around the room who would kind of echo that. Every artist dips their brush into their own soul and paints their own nature into their pictures. It was actually explained better to me yesterday morning in this room. Beecher, famous, wrote loads of books, in some ways turned a continent upside down, but this is Jude Casely, and she's made these beautiful pieces of work, and we'll talk about them in a few minutes' time. But she said this to me yesterday. She said, "Andy, what you put on the canvas is always something that's from inside. Like the law of gravity, dark or light, the work, it reflects who you are." It's beautiful, isn't it? We've got poets here as well as painters. It reflects who you are. And I think what we're saying, as these artists point us to these beautiful places of nature, that like one of the artists in this room, kind of dipping their brush into their soul and painting who they are, well, there's a creator behind what's around us. And he has communicated something of who he is through what we see. Let me share with you a soundbite from one of the documents actually on your tables. Well, it may be on your table. It's actually from John's Gospel. There's 4 accounts of Jesus' life that are recorded by eyewitnesses. And one of them, he was a friend of Jesus. And he spent his 3 years of his life with Jesus. He eventually really suffered because of his commitment to Jesus, who had died and who John claimed had risen from the dead. John was ready to go to prison and all kinds of things, for still to stick to his guns to say, no, Jesus was authentic in who he said he was, and particularly this claim that he rose from the dead. But he writes this, John, poetic piece of opening words from his account of Jesus' life. And let me read this to you. It's quite beautiful. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. You might be familiar with those words, or it might be the first time you've ever heard them quoted, but aren't they poetic and beautiful? And they are speaking of an amazing truth. A God who is a God in relationship, a God who has existed before anything else, one through whom everything was made as a deliberate act. Through him, all things were made. Let me share another kind of Bible sound bite. It's this. It says, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made. You know, I think as creators, a room full of creators, as those who've been exhibiting in the art show, pouring hearts into these pieces of art, there's been an expression of who those people are. But actually, as we look around in this beautiful environment that we live in, we're seeing pointers to the God who is there and who is behind the creation that we ourselves dwell in. So the theme of reflect, it deepens. It deepens because as we look at somebody's piece of art, we're viewing a reflection of that person. And in these pieces of art, they're reflecting something that reflects the glory of the one who made them even. I wonder if you ever wonder yourself about where the capacity for creativity comes from. You can have a great conversation now round our tables. Maybe you will after this over the next cup of coffee. What is it? What is your creative outlet? We've got graffiti artists, we've got dancers, we've got poets, we've got conversationalists, we've got organizers, we've got people who open their homes with hospitality, we've got musicians. We could continue. Artists, creatives through the room. But I wonder where it is that our capacity for creativity, where it comes from. Maya Angelou, she said this: everybody born comes from the Creator, trailing wisps of glory. We come from the Creator with creativity. I think each one of us is born with creativity. Isn't that beautiful? She's reflecting on the fact that she herself is a creation and how her creativity is an echo of the Creator who brought her into being. What if you too are a creation made in the image of your Creator with the characteristics, his characteristics, of a capacity for creativity? Well, look, let's go back to that sound bite again that we were reading from the start of John's Gospel, John chapter 1. Through him all things were made, we were reading. But let's read on a little bit further. It says this, in him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. It's saying that somehow that life and light and fullness and experience, what it is to be really human, it's all found actually in relationship with the one who made us, with our Creator. I'd like to introduce you to another amazing artist. And she's become a friend now. I only met her on Friday night, met her family too. But she reflects in her work how meaning and identity and fullness, the meaning, identity, and fullness that we long for, well, it comes through relationship with the Creator. Now, this is Messimer, Messimer's work and Messimer's self-portrait. It is the most remarkable piece of work. From a distance, it looks like a chaotic, fantastic, free painting. But as you get close, you realize that it's got bits of wool and paper stuck on, collage, movement, vibrant life. And Messimer is saying something about how it is that you and me can find life in all its fullness. And as we spoke to her on Friday night, she told us something of her story. It's actually an echo, a reflection, if we want to say, of Rebecca's story. Somebody who's just recently come to realize what it means to live in relationship with a Creator God who has made her, yes, given her the ability to be creative, yes, but has created her with the potential to live in relationship with Him. And as she explained to us about her work, she invited us to look really closely. And some of us did. We came and we stood really close and peered in, and we found that not only is it a beautiful piece of art with wool and pieces of paper, but also there are ancient, poetic, prophetic scriptures, verses written on there, talking about the deliberate act of bringing Messimer into being, of bringing you and me into being. This is a quote, a soundbite from Psalm 139. You knit me together in my mother's womb. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. Messimer, reaching back into those 2,500-year-old, 3,000-year-old pieces of poetry, is pulling them into the 21st century and saying, that's me. I'm a creation, and I find life, and I find it in all fullness in relationship with the Creator who has made me with the capacity to know Him. You know, if we zoom in another place, it says, who does God say that I am? I want you to listen to another piece of art now. I'm inviting this beautiful band to come. We've got Hannah, singer, Elise, harpist, and Nathan on guitar. And they're going to sing to us a song actually inspired by this question. Who does God say that I am? We're reflecting on the theme that we're creations, created to live in relationship with the Creator God. Messimer is saying to us, and that ancient psalm is saying to us, John in chapter 1 is saying to us, you're only going to find life, and find life in all its fullness in relationship with that Creator. Who does God say that I am? Let's invite them to play to us now. Thanks so much.
believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I'm weak. And you say I'm held when I am falling short. When I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me, oh, I believe. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You have every failure, God, you have every victory. Oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I'm weak. You say I'm held when I am falling short. When I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe, oh, I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. I believe.
Thank you so much for that. Well, beautiful. Well, Messimer, in her amazing piece of art, is reflecting on the life in all its fullness that is found by living in relationship with the Creator. And somehow she's saying to us, look, I look at Him, and as I gaze on Him, I find the value that I am. And her piece was called Enough, More Than Enough. And it was speaking of the value that the Creator gives to her through relationship with Him. And as that song was reflecting, we hear what it is that He says to men and women and children like us, speaking of our value, of our worth to Him. Now, some of us are art historians, and I find art history fascinating. I'm not got a degree in it or anything, although my degree touched on it a little bit. Have you discovered Jackson Pollock? Jackson Pollock, he painted like this for a while, using kind of accidental, random processes to produce pieces. And he wrote this: every good painter paints what he is. So here's Jackson Pollock, and he's saying to you, this is what I am. I'm just a mess. I'm just a produce of kind of random, accidental processes. That's who I am. And you might think, well, that's who you are, along with Pollock. Another person who has actually impacted our culture more than you might realize is Munch. And he said this: nature is not only all that is visible to the eye, it also includes the inner pictures of the soul. When I show you this picture, even if you've never heard of him, you'll recognize it. He's remembered for this 1893 composition. It's called The Scream, and perhaps the inner picture of his soul. It's pretty heartbreaking, isn't it? He was standing on a promenade and just had this deep anxiety overcome him. And he painted this, or drew this. I think it's in pastels, and produced different versions of it. It's now actually an emoji, isn't it, for us all to reach for. That's where it came from. Did you know that? Bit of art history. We've got it all on our phones, and we can pull up a bit of Munch if that is how we're feeling. Somehow, Munch felt that there's a fault line, a crack, a fissure between what life should be and what it is. Completely different from Messimer's art, don't you think? Somehow Messimer has connected with the Creator. Somehow Munch and Pollock feel still so far away. And this kind of question is pretty fundamental to who we are as human beings. There was an amazing piece that was in the show that was called, it's by Clementina Phillips, and it was called Falling. And she described returning to the place of an accident that she'd had as a child. She'd fallen into a mine shaft and she'd nearly died. And she writes on her piece, it was a moment of terror and vulnerability that has stayed with me. And then she describes how she returned there years later with her father and kind of gazed down to this place, still haunted by that experience. And she describes, again, somebody who's opening her soul to us as she produces these pieces of art. She said this: through silk and fluid watercolor, the work evokes the sensation of submersion and the emotional state of being suspended between danger and safety, past and present, memory and loss. Something of the human experience in that incredible piece of painting. Should be in New York, shouldn't it? In the Museum of Modern Art, or up in London. It's a really moving and powerful piece. Maybe as you stood looking at it this week, or you're looking at it now, you can feel something of that terror, that fear, that sense of suspense, that life should be something more, and yet here I am, it's not. What is broken? What is wrong? I wonder if any of you have written plays or acted. I know some of you have been to Brit School, or you're involved in productions. It's brilliant. Make sure you invite us, and make sure you let us know about those events, because we want to come and we want to be a part of them too. You know, a character in Shakespeare's play could never meet Shakespeare. They're operating on a sphere below Shakespeare. Shakespeare is the creator, and he creates these characters who interact with each other. And those players, those in the story, can never know Shakespeare. They can never reach out of their realm and connect with him. And so it is that you and I, by our own initiative and by our own force of will, we can never connect with our Creator either. He's beyond us. But the characters in Shakespeare's play, there is one way they could get to know him. And that would be if Shakespeare himself wrote himself into the play as a character. And some authors have done just that, written themselves into the story, and they begin interacting with the characters in their novel or in their play. And the central claim of the Christian faith is that is exactly what God has done. Let me read, or let's listen to the next part of that passage we were reading from John chapter 1. We were reading that through him all things were made. We were reading how in him was life. That life was the light of all mankind. And yet we're realizing that none of us naturally, by our own force of will or initiative, can ever find that life or that light, because he's the creator. We're just the creations. But, listen to this. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world. And though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. This is telling us that the central claim of the Christian faith is that the Creator has written himself into the story, that the Creator has become a person, has become human, to interact with us, to introduce himself to us, to let us know him. And as he comes, we meet this one who is perfect, this perfect humanity. And as people interact with Jesus, somehow that fault line is made clearer. This fissure between the perfection of God, of what we should be, and who we actually are. That awareness of a fault line points back to a history where our destiny diverged, where instead of being those who could live in relationship with the Creator, found that we were separated from him. Echoed in Munch and Pollock and Clementina Phillips. Yet God's self-revelation in Jesus, it shows us God's perfection and his difference from us. But instead of Jesus coming to judge and rule and remove, he instead makes the most unexpected move. He's humiliated, he's broken, and he goes to death. He explained that he hadn't come to be served, but he'd come to serve. And he is judged by us, by humanity, and nailed to a cross, as though all the brokenness of this planet, all of the distance in my soul, that it's as though it was all his fault and not mine, all his fault and not yours. One of Faye's favorite artists is Marc Chagall. And Marc Chagall said, "Art must be an expression of love or it is nothing." He's saying like the fundamental is love. And this expression of God in the person of Jesus is an act of love. Romans explains, one of the documents in the New Testament, God demonstrates his love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were far off, Jesus died for us. The cross is the ultimate self-revelation of God as Jesus goes to die in our place. And it's here we see grace and kindness, the Creator who reaches towards us to rescue, reclaim, renew, redeem, restore. Let's talk to Rebecca. Rebecca, you were just telling us just now that you've recently come to this place of connecting with the Creator. And you made another piece of art, didn't you? I'm putting it up on the wall here. And this is the world premiere. This was never shown. It's never been seen. Here it is. Tell us, what is it?
So this is a piece, the piece I originally created for the art show. Unfortunately didn't work out. But yeah, it was a piece that was meant to symbolize your life before coming to Christ versus after, and what that can look like. So there's three main elements to it. It's a deep set frame, and in the background I put these smashed mirrors. So when you look at the piece, you can see yourself and see your reflection is broken, and that's meant to symbolize how we are. So we are broken, and that is in contrast with the whole mirror on the cross, and that is meant to sort of represent that through the work on the cross, we are whole and we are renewed, and the water as well. So on the left, obviously you can see it's quite some sort of a tempestuous storm, and these huge waves that are coming are crashing over. But then they hit the cross, and it is immediately stilled on the other side. And it's meant to represent, life. Sort of, it can be chaotic, it can be messy, and then when you come into contact with, when you get in touch with your Creator and following. When I gave my life to Christ, and everything just calmed down, and and I think it's just overall supposed to symbolise that transition and what can happen in your life when you get in touch with your Creator and you build that relationship with Him.
It's so powerful, and I love that. And you were telling me about how the idea was that we would look at the piece and see our own faces in the cross. How beautiful, that we would recognize, look, Jesus has died for you to take the brokenness and that tempestuous experience of life and its brokenness can be brought to peace and through what Jesus has done. Rebecca, thank you for sharing that with us. It's really, really powerful and beautiful. I'd love to just read us a verse again from that same passage. That passage we were reading said that he wasn't recognized, Jesus, when he came by his creation. Yet, it goes on to say this, to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. And this room is peppered with people who are still thinking about these things. Perhaps that's you. We're so glad you're here. You're a VIP this morning. And it's also peppered with people who have realized that there is a God, and he's come in the person of Jesus. And he invites us to receive him, to believe in the name of Jesus, and to receive the right as a gift, not something we can earn, the right to become children of God. And it's a right that's given by what it is that Jesus did by going to the cross. Let me share with you another piece of art before we come to a close. This is that Jude Casely who we talked about right at the beginning, who gave that quote, "Better than Beecher." And this piece really captivated me. I stood there kind of looking up at it. And it was called "Be Still and Know." Be still and know. And it's another quote from an ancient psalm. And that ancient psalm is speaking to a chaotic, broken, violent world. And the voice of God comes and says, "Be still and know." And some songs actually quote that and stop just there. But it's mid-sentence. "Be still and know that I am God," is how the quote lands. And as we look at this piece, you kind of are looking up. The horizon is intentionally on that third off the top. So you're gazing up. We, the viewer, are low. And we're looking up, recognizing a God who is there, a God who we can offer no word to because he's so clean and good and powerful and out of reach. Be still and know that I am God, he says. But then, right beside that piece, were two more pieces. And they were called refreshing grace. And these, the horizon's down low. And it's about something that's been done, something that has been achieved, some news that is breaking, that changes everything. That there is a God who is there, who is good and clean and perfect. And no, I can't get to him by my own power. Yet, refreshing grace, this is called. God has come to us in the person of Jesus. And we're invited to live in the power and the beauty and the freedom of that. And how do we come to that? Well, we're going to think about that in a few moments' time. But we're going to have another song for now. If you ask me about my choice of creative outlet, it would be songwriting. And ever since a little boy growing up in Caterham, sitting in my apple tree, writing songs about my day at school, to now, I've been writing songs. This song is called, I've just finished it, just over the last few days. And it's talking about that be still and know that I am God, a God who is there who can't be reached, and about how here I am, unable to get to him, and yet he's come in the person of Jesus. There's another piece of ancient poetry that is speaking to God, and it says, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. It's a longing of the psalmist. He's saying, lift me, because I can't get to you. And it was reflecting on that I wrote this song. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Lead me where the floods pass me by. Lead me to your heart. Lead me high. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. You are humble and pierced, like the poet prophet said. Humble, pierced, carrying my dread. Humble, pierced, the earth stained red. Humble and pierced, like the poet prophet said. Dawn breaks bright, dispelling the gloom. Dawn breaks bright on an open tomb. Dawn breaks bright, and he calls to you. Dawn breaks bright, dispelling the gloom. Color from monochrome, vibrance from monotone. Lost child, welcome home. You're loved and fully known. Color from monochrome, vibrance from monotone. Lost child, welcome home. You're loved and fully known. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Lead me where the floods pass me by. Lead me to your heart. Lead me high. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Yeah. Higher than I. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Well, thank you that we can meet and share these big things and think about these big themes. I wonder if you hear like this whispered or even shouted invitation that echoes through the heart of the message of Jesus, that echoes, we pray, from this building in the corner of Caterham, that we hope has echoed through the New Life art show all week. It's an invitation, a call. Your Creator inviting you into relationship with Him. A relationship that you can't find, dig up, scrape together by your own power or goodness. Instead, a relationship that you're invited into by the arms of the one who went to a cross. Arms held open of the God who loves you. Let's read those verses again. Yet to all who did receive Him, to those who believed in His name, He gave the right to become children of God. You're invited. You're Creator. You're made to know Him. You're created to live in relationship with Him. Yet, like Jackson Pollock or Munch, none of us can know Him. We're broken and we know it. But God has come in the person of Jesus into the brokenness. The writer writing himself into the story. God come human. Gone to a cross for you and for me so that your brokenness could be dealt with. Here's how John summarizes it further on. He says, "The Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us. We have seen His glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth." Have you received that grace? As Jude Casely would call it, that refreshing grace. The work that is done, the work that is finished. Jesus has done it, and you're invited. Rebecca, at some point in the last months or year or so, has come to a place where she said, "God, you are clean and good and powerful, and I can't know you. But you've come to me in the person of Jesus. I trust that you died instead of me so that even I could be forgiven." And now Rebecca's in a relationship with God through Jesus. I remember the day that I echoed something like that too, just down the road from here. I was actually on my knees, a little boy on my knees, recognizing and realizing a God, good and clean and powerful God I can't connect with, but instead He's come to me in the person of Jesus. I wonder whether this morning any of you would like to take that step for the first time. I'm not going to ask you to put your hand up or stand on a table or come forward or anything like that, or even kneel down. But there might be some way in which, you want to kind of kneel down in your heart and before the God who is there, and maybe for the first time say to Him 3 things. Perhaps an easy way to remember it is the 3 things that a little child might learn at the start of their vocabulary. Thank you, sorry, please. And to say to God, thank you that you're the God who reveals yourself in the person of Jesus. I'm sorry for the things that I've done wrong. Please forgive me on the basis of what Jesus has done already for me on the cross. The headline for which John was happy to go to prison and that many of his friends went to their deaths was that Jesus didn't stay dead, but He rose from the dead. He's conquered death, and He's alive, and He's changing people's lives today. So as we close this morning, maybe you want to kind of incline your heart into a kind of kneeling posture. And you want to echo this word with me, this prayer with me. Lord God, thank you. Thank you that you are loving and you are good. Thank you that you have come in the person of Jesus to reveal yourself to me. Thank you that you have come in the person of Jesus to die on a cross for me. Thank you that you invite me into relationship with you. I'm sorry for the way that I've made myself king. I'm sorry for the ways that I've pushed you out of my life. I'm sorry for the ways that I've tried to sort my life out enough to be good enough. I realize that I can't do that. So please, forgive me. Please, because of what Jesus has done, clean my heart, renew, restore, refresh, redeem me because of what Jesus has done. Please, Jesus, be my King. Fill me and lead me to live for your glory. Amen. Maybe you've prayed that this morning, and if you have, then please do two things. Please tell a friend that you've come with. Say, hey, I prayed that prayer today. What next then? And they'll tell you about Christianity Explored course. They might offer to meet up with you and just read the Bible with you and talk to you more. So tell a friend, number one, and they'll then help you and signpost you to next things. And number two, there's a little thing on your toast rack. You see your toast rack? You thought they were for toast. They're actually created for our events to hold literature. There's a reach in there now, rummage, and one of you pull out the yes leaflet. Just pull it out. There's a leaflet that says yes. And just pull that out and stick it on the table. And please take that home. So two things. Tell a friend and take that yes leaflet home. And you're beginning a walk with the Creator God who loves you, one you're made to know. Well, often these times of our Oakhall Cafe are a springboard for now the rest of a day of conversation. And so that's what we're going to enjoy now. We're so glad that you could join us to be a part of this morning and think about these big themes with us. We want to just before we close, we want to say thank you to those who've been preparing this for us. There have been people working for hours even to just get this room ready, many of them. And we're so grateful to you. Also, all the people who've been making the whole operation work. So let's give them a big round of applause and a thank you. And I just want to make one more invitation to you before the background music comes up, the coffee comes out, the conversation relights. Looking forward to that. But one more invitation is this, that on your table also there are little black documents. They are another of the accounts of Jesus' life. And they're sketchbooks, really. And you've got one face is the text from one of the accounts of Jesus' life, and the other face is blank for you to draw and think and put reflections on. So do that. What a great project. Maybe for the month of June. It's the month of June now. And just draw into there and reflect on this wonderful message of the Creator God who loves you and invites you into relationship with Him. Well, here comes the background music again. Thank you so much for being a part of this morning. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
A notable peak in the impact rate, cosmic dust activity. Cosmic dust activity. From